Hello, and welcome to the College of Education and Health Professions. I'm Anna Ayala Barker, one of the academic advisors in the college. And in this short video, Dr. Rodriguez and I will give you some important information that will help you plan your first college schedule. In college, you have the ownership and responsibility of creating your own schedule every semester. However, we are here to advise you along the way so that you stay within your degree plan and optimize your plan based on your interests and career plans. One important thing to keep in mind is that you can take classes your first 2 years that will work for several majors. We call this parallel planning. This is important because we know that most students will likely change their major at some point. You may want to look at various degree sheets available on the College Advising website to see the overlap in core classes. For example, all of our majors will require Comp 1 and 2, College Algebra, a Fine Arts, and other Common Core classes. In addition, most of our health-related degrees will require biology and chemistry.
A lot of our students bring in credit from AP or IB tests and dual credit or transfer credit done through a community college or other institution. If you are not one of those students, that's okay. However, if you are, know that you do not have to enroll in a class if you already have credit for it. Make sure you send all official AP and IB scores to our Office of the Registrar, and also send in official transcripts from the community college or university for any dual credit or transfer credit once grades have posted. It's important that you all tell us about all the credit that you're expecting. You will have a chance to do this and list everything in the online pre-advising form you will have to complete before our one-on-one advising. During advising, we will help you decipher if the credit that you have can be used for your degree, and if so, where.
Hours. Hours may be a new term for you, but you'll quickly get used to it. Some use hours interchangeably with credits or units. Most classes are worth 3 hours. When planning your fall schedule, we recommend you plan for 12 to 15 hours. In future semesters, we may recommend that you enroll in 15 or more hours. However, we want you to get through the college transition first before challenging yourself with a heavier course load. Most scholarships and financial aid require at least 12 hours, which is considered full-time status. If you have another scholarship, such as the Arkansas Challenge Scholarship, you may need more hours next semester. Be sure that you know how many hours you are required to enroll in to keep your scholarship and financial aid. If you are unsure, you can contact those respective offices to verify. Before we go on, we should cover how to read course numbers, because it would help you keep track of hours. Here we have the course number for college algebra. The 4 letters refers to the subject or department. College algebra is in the math department. The first digit of the 4 numbers refers to the level of the course. Lower level courses, those starting with 1 or 2, are usually intended for freshmen or sophomores. The middle 2 numbers only help to differentiate the courses within a department, and they are not as important. But the 4th digit will help you determine how many hours a class is worth. Here you see 3. That means college algebra is worth 3 hours.
Before you enroll, it's important to understand the distinction between drills and labs. You might see the term drill associated with courses like chemistry. These are required, blocked out times associated with some courses. They are not worth any additional hours. This time is usually used for supplemental instruction, extra discussion, or time for testing. If it is used for testing, you will only have to use that time a few times a semester. Your course instructor will tell you how drills will be used for that course. Labs, on the other hand, are usually worth 1 hour of credit. These are usually associated with science courses. When you enroll in them, you will have to make sure that you have the lecture component and the 1 hour lab in your shopping cart. Here you see the example for biology. The lecture component is Bio 1543, and the lab is Bio 1541L.
The last important thing we'll cover is University Perspectives. This is a required 1-hour course for all freshman students. This course will cover skills and resources that will help you in the transition from high school to college life. It is offered in either an 8-week or 16-week format. If you are not pre-enrolled in a University Perspectives section, also called UNIV 1001, we recommend you add it to your schedule last and don't stress out about the topic. Topics are different because every instructor may choose a different theme for their course, but all University Perspective courses should ultimately include very similar content. Now let's go over some example schedules. Remember, these are only examples. Your schedule might look very similar or somewhat different depending on earned AP, IB, or dual credit. Here we have example schedules for 2 different students. The one on the left is for a student majoring on elementary education, and the one on the right is for a student majoring in physical education. However, notice that they're both very similar. The only difference is that the elementary education major will be doing CIED 1013, Introduction to Education, while the physical education student will enroll in PHED 1003, the Physical Education Profession. Beyond that, they're very similar. There might be also some difference if a student decides to enroll in a social science, or a U.S. history or government, or a humanities. Otherwise, they're very similar. Most students majoring in an education major will have a very similar schedule to this. Similarly, here we have 2 example schedules, one for a student in public health and another for a student in exercise science. Notice that these schedules are basically identical. That is because we will usually recommend that students in these kind of majors start off with a science class like Principles of Biology. Notice that this has a lecture component, Bio 1543 for 3 hours, and a lab component, Bio 1541L. L is for lab. Beyond that, these schedules are pretty much identical. Again, there might be some difference if a student chooses to do a social science, or history or government, or fine arts in this slot. Here we have 2 example schedules for pre-nursing students. We want to highlight one particular difference here. Your advisor will talk to you about the possibility of doubling up on sciences during your first semester at the U of A as a pre-nursing student. On the left, you see a schedule for a student that decided to only take one science their first semester. And on the right, you see a schedule for a student that decided to double up on their sciences during their first semester. Let's count their hours. For the student taking one science, they will be taking 3 hours of English, 3 hours of college algebra, 3 hours of lecture for chemistry, 1 hour of lab, 3 hours for any of these that they choose, and 1 hour for University Perspectives, for a total of 14 hours. For the student that decided to double up, they will be taking 3 hours of lecture for chemistry, 1 hour for lab, 3 hours for biology lecture, 1 hour for biology lab, 3 hours for any of these that they decided to take, and 1 hour for University Perspectives. That's a total of 12 hours. While it seems like they're not taking as many hours, this is because juggling 2 lab components in one semester can be somewhat challenging. So we would recommend that they only take 12 hours during that semester. Finally, here we have 2 more example schedules. The one on the left is for a student majoring in recreation and sports management. Notice that they don't have a science in their first semester schedule. That's because the science sequence is not as critical for this major. Now, on the right, we have an example schedule for a student in communication, sciences, and disorders. Note that this is very similar to all the other schedules we've seen thus far. Also, we want you to take notice of something else here. At the very bottom, there's an asterisk, and that says, for admissions into CDIS program, grade C or better is required. That means that this student will have to make a C or better in Comp 1 and college algebra in order to go into the CDIS program later. This is an important time to let you know that at the U of A, usually if you make a D or better, you get credit for the course. However, there are some courses within each major that you have to make a C or better to get credit for that course. That information is available on your degree sheet and also in the university catalog.
Thank you for watching, and remember, you will have a 30-minute virtual one-on-one advising session before you enroll in classes, so you don't have to make any decisions on your own just yet. We look forward to meeting you virtually during that session and in person this fall.